Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher from a very early morning here in Southwest Missouri. And guys, today we're going to be talking about the most difficult bass fishing lure to master. Give you guys some tips and advice on it. It's not only the most difficult lure to master, but it's also one of the most productive lures. So we're going to go over that in today's video. I think it's going to add up to some good fish and a new technique for your arsenal there. Also, guys, for get started, I just wanted to thank everybody. Just me and my family want to thank you guys. If you are one of the viewers that have been using and bookmarking my tackle warehouse link that I put in every video description, I put that in every video description on all three of my channels. You guys have been using that link. Thank you very much for me and my family. You're really doing a lot to support the channel. And also, guys, real quick, anybody that wants to book an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. You can shoot me a private message and I'll get you set up with the details on that. So I really appreciate that. Okay, a lot of you regulars that watch the channel, you probably can guess, because I've talked about this before, because I do a lot of stuff on it. Guys, the most difficult lure and technique to master in bass fishing is the jerkbait, by far. There's not even anything close second. It's like a very, very difficult technique to really master. Now, there's a difference between mastering a lure and just fishing a lure. It's a huge difference. It's the reason, it's pretty obvious what the reason on the jerkbait is the jerkbait basically does not, you can't just cast it out and reel it in. I mean, I'm not saying you can't catch a fish doing that, but the odds are you'll never get a bite if you just if you take a jerkbait out of the box, cast it, and just reel it in. You're not going to catch many fish, if any, on there. A jerkbait is a lure that you have got to manipulate, and you've got to put the action on yourself through wrist action and cadence and retrieve and that type of thing. So therefore, in order to understand what triggers a bass with a jerkbait, you have to spend a lot of time fishing it, because I mean, a lot of people that fish jerkbaits understand, the jerk pause. That's kindergarten right there, guys. If you relegate your jerkbait fishing to just jerk pause, you are in kindergarten with jerkbait fishing. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of different type of retrieves and cadences that you can use on the jerkbait. And all this is based upon a lot of different factors. It's based upon the water temperature, the water clarity, the water level, time of year, time of day, the mood and the personality of the fish, the species of the bass that you're fishing for. There's a lot of different situations with that determine that cadence that you have to use. So this is something that only comes with experience. I mean, I've done a ton of jerkbait videos, and you can refer back to some of my playlists, to go over that. But ultimately, guys, you have to learn dozens of different type of retrieves. And we'll talk a lot about that on the channel this year. And like I said, I've done some stuff you can refer back in the playlist. But when you're talking in terms of actually getting that jerkbait down deep, and then once that jerkbait is down at its deepest part, which I call the sweet spot in fishing, there's different types of manipulation. Sometimes they want it suspended, sometimes they want it floating up, sometimes they want it sinking, sometimes they want it just barely moving, sometimes they want it twitched a couple times and barely moving, sometimes they want a hard jerk, sometimes they want a really soft pull. There's just a ton of stuff that we can go over with that. And until you have spent seasons and seasons and seasons experimenting and using those different techniques and understanding one of those techniques works in certain situations, you'll never be a true master of jerkbait fishing. That's why it's so difficult, and that's why it takes so long to learn it. And then on top of that, you've got all the other variables. You have the colors. Color is more important in jerkbait fishing than any other lure category. Jerkbaits are the most important bait as far as color, because it's a sight bait. In addition to jerkbait's color, you have the jerkbait size and profile. I use Megabass jerkbaits exclusively. They come in, you can get them in 2 inches long or up to 7 inches long. By the way, I'll put my Megabass jerkbait link in the description of this video, guys, if you'd like to order a few of those Megabass. But you got to figure out the profile that the bass want at the time. And then different jerk baits have different type of actions on them in terms of how aggressive they dart. So you got to consider that. Some jerk baits have rattles, some are silent. You got to consider that. Then you have to consider the line size. Line size has a big impact on the depth and the action of a jerk bait. The rod action, you got to have the right rod action in order to manipulate and get the right action out of a jerk bait. The right reel setup, all this stuff goes together, in addition to where to throw a jerk bait at, casting angles, boat positioning. The list just goes on and on and on. And I don't mean to say this to get you overwhelmed by jerkbait fishing, but I just want people to understand that when you delve into jerkbait fishing, you can't oversimplify it, because it is a complicated technique if you want to master it and become an expert jerkbait fisherman. And I encourage everybody to do so, because a jerkbait is a great lure to catch a ton of fish on and a ton of big fish on. It's super fun to fish. To me, there's like very few techniques that are funner when you're jerking that jerkbait down and maybe you pause it, then your line just jumps, or it's a fun bait to get a strike on to begin with. And it looks real to the fish. I mean, it looks like a minnow darting through the water, but like I said, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to learn how to fish a jerkbait good. So I just want to reiterate that it is the most difficult technique. If you're having a hard time with jerkbait fishing, you're not alone. A lot of people do. In fact, probably 75% of the people that book an on-the-water lesson with me, they want to understand how to jerkbait fish. That's what they come to me for, is jerkbait fishing. So don't get overwhelmed. Don't get frustrated if you're having a hard time. I'll do anything I can to help you guys out with it. Like I said, refer back to my playlist. Stay tuned for the videos here. And hopefully, we'll get you some confidence in jerkbaits, because it's a super fun and productive way of catching them. So we'll talk later. See you.